Okay, welcome to page 1 of the packet on lines. A lot of this is review concepts, but I would like to show you how to use the calculator to facilitate your life on many of these calculations, since you can always use the calculator on the exams. So first of all, let's talk about the midpoint formula, which you've always known how to do. Basically, when you find the midpoint of two given points, you always just find the point in the middle, which whenever you take two numbers and you find the middle number between the two, remember you can do that by finding the average or the mean of those 2 points. And let's use the function 2varstats, which we learned in previous chapters, to find the midpoint. Okay, so basically what you do is, remember to find 2varstats, you do stat edit, and instead of putting a list in, what you're going to do is put the 2 points that you're given in L1 and L2, put the x's in L1, put the y's in L2, and then you look at the x bar, y bar values in 2varstats, and that will give you the midpoint. That actually executes this formula. Okay, so then you don't need to use the formula. Okay, so here we got point A, which is -2, 1, and we got point B, which is 2, -4. Remember, x comes first and y comes second. So let's put those in the calculator. -2, remember you have to use this bottom negative sign to put in -2. And then 1, -2, 1 is B. And then 2, -4 is the -2, 1 is A. And then 2, 1 is, or 2, -4 is B. I'm saying all the wrong numbers here. Okay, so I think that's right? -2, 1 is A, and 2, -4 is B. Then you do stat calc 2varstats in order to find the midpoint. L1, L2, that's fine, and then we go down to calculate. And x bar is 0 and y bar is -1.5. So our midpoint happens to be 0, -1.5. And if we wanted to graph that point, we would put it at 0, -1.5. Okay? And you could have done that visually also, since this already starts on a graph. You can see that, let's see, the horizontal distance between A and B, there's like 4 units here. So if you count 2 over, that would be halfway. That would be the midpoint x value. And then the y value, let's see, there's 5 units here. Divide that in 2, it's 2.5. So you can count down 2.5 from A or count up 2.5 from B, and that will give you -1.5. But as you can see, you could just do it with 2varstats using stat edit and stat calc. So let's do that with these quite difficult numbers here. We got 2, 1/3, and we have square root of 2, 3.5. Let's put those numbers into L1 and L2 and see what we get. So the way you can clear L1 and L2 is you just press clear on top of L1 and L2. So I'll do that first. And then, so we're going to put 2, 1/3. And if you want to put 1/3 in, all you need to do is do 1 divided by 3. And square root of 2, which we just put square root 2. And for the y value, we put 3.5. And then we just do stat calc 2varstats again. All right, and so the x bar value is 1.707. If we wanted to put 3 significant figures, we put 1.71. Y bar is 1.917. Right? 1.917. Okay, so that is the midpoint of points D and F. Okay, now we're going to do a calculation which doesn't really look like the midpoint calculation when you look at them together, but since one of them has a subtraction, one of them has an addition, people tend to get the two confused. So before you ever do a midpoint or a distance calculation, go back, look at the formula booklet, take the extra couple seconds to figure out which is which. And remember that the midpoint formula, you add the two and divide. You add the two numbers and you divide by 2 afterwards because you're finding the average. And when you do the distance formula, you subtract the two because what you're doing is you're trying to find the number of units between each x-coordinate pair and each y-coordinate pair, and then use Pythagorean's theorem to find the diagonal distance between the two. Okay, and so for the distance formula, there's no calculator shortcut that I know of, so all we're going to do is we're going to type these numbers in this formula here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do square root of, and then we'll do the difference between the x's, which would be 4 minus negative 1.5 squared, and it's kind of tricky because there's negatives here. And then you add that to negative 3 minus 5 squared. Okay, so let's type that in the calculator. So we'll have square root, and then we'll put parentheses super important, 4 minus, and then it's negative 1.5 squared, and then it's plus, and then remember when you do negative 3, it's this minus sign, minus 5, when you do subtraction, it's that minus sign, and then you square, and then enter, and what do we get? We got 9.71. Okay, 3 significant figures would be 9.71. That would be the distance between the two. Okay, and here it asks us to plot these 3 points, and then we're going to find the distances AC and AB to show that these points would form an isosceles triangle. Remember, an isosceles triangle is a triangle with 2 sides that are the same length. So let's plot negative 4 comma 6, that would be right there, 6 comma 2, that would be right there, and negative 8 comma negative 4, which would be right there. And they're saying that that would be an isosceles triangle if we, it says if we check the lengths of let's see, A is this one, and B is this one, and C is this one. It says if we check the lengths AC and AB, we'll find out that it's an isosceles triangle. So let's do square root, and then first we're going to do let's do AB first because they're next to each other. So we'll do negative 4 minus 6, negative 4 minus 6, we're grouping the x's together, squared, plus, and then remember this formula is in the formula booklet. And now we're going to do AC, so that would be negative 4, I'm sorry, we're doing AB still. We're going to do 6 minus 2. Even I get mixed up. Okay, so we subtracted the x values, negative 4 and 6, and then we subtracted the y values, 6 and 2, and we square them, and then we square root them after we add them together. And we get 10.8. So our length of AB is 10.8. Now let's do AC. So AC, since they're like not next to each other, I'm going to write out the problem that I want to type in the calculator first. This is a good way to be organized. So I'm going to do square root of negative 4 minus negative 8 squared plus, and the next subtraction is going to be 6 minus negative 4 squared. Okay, And let's type that in the calculator, because I actually typed this in wrong, and this is the second time I'm doing it because I didn't write it down, and it's really hard to minus -8 squared. Oops, not there. Not there. Oh yeah, there. Squared. Oops, that's like, if you get in this situation, you just delete. Squared. And then add. And now I'm going to do 6 minus -4. And 6 minus -4, of course, is plus, but I'm just typing everything out so to show you that the calculator can do all that heavy lifting for you. Just make sure you use this little negative sign when you say negative, as opposed to subtract. And we get 10.8 also. So we know that we did it right because we got the same length for AC and AB, and we've proven that this is an isosceles triangle because we showed the two sides are the same. CB, just visually, you can see that it's slightly longer, but if you did the calculation of CB, you would find out that it is not 10.8. Okay, and that's it for page 1. Pretty easy. Midpoint formula and distance formula.